So we just got done testing our 2016 F550 cab and chassis here. It's a little brush truck from the fire department. Um, so what we found on this, it had a plethora of codes. It had a knock sensor 1 performance code. It had a fuel trim code. It had a P0234, which is an overboost code, and it had a P132B, and it also had a couple of EGR codes, EGR stuck open, all that crap. So mass airflow as well. So what we did was I went right after, checked the mass airflow. I looked at the grams per second. On this engine, warm idle, no EGR, you should see about 21 grams per second. We were sitting at about 16, so I popped it out of there. It was just completely dusted out, as well as the entire post air filter, the tubing here and stuff, and talked to them, and they had last time they basically plugged the filter up on a fire they were on, real dusty out there. They were out there for a couple of weeks or something. Anyway, so I cleaned all of that up, put a mass airflow in it. You don't want to clean those. I mean, you can as part of your test, but they're really sensitive, and unless it's like an old GM one, a lot of times you're going to do more harm than good. So put a new mass airflow in it, new harness on there. It had been replaced once before, but I replaced it again, and popped the MAP sensor out of the top of the intake there to check it for carbon. It was pretty clean. It was one of the cleanest ones I've seen. Anyway, no problem there. So once I got that all cleaned out, I cleared all the codes, and then I went out and drove it, and the only codes that come back were my EGR and my 132B, which it would go into D-rate right away. So now I have, is it my EGR causing my low boost, or is it the turbo? So I went ahead and took care of the EGR valve, got that fixed, went out and drove it again, still setting the 132B. So brought it in, tried to open the turbo, no change, nothing happening there. So obviously our unison ring isn't moving. So at that point, I'm assuming, okay, well, we've got a stuck turbo. Tear everything off, which gives the opportunity to clean the lower plenum and the upper plenum, because, they get pretty carboned up from the EGR and the oil mist that comes in through the crankcase vent. And got that all cleaned up, popped turbo off, went ahead and took it apart. Unison ring is just about welded to the center rotating housing. I had to pry it off of there, and it was stuck. I don't even know how it even thought about moving, but anyway, what I did notice about it is it would only set the code, because after I cleared the codes that I had in it, I went and drove it, and I drove it for about 15 miles, never had a problem with it. Came back, did self-test, everything passed, but at low engine temperatures, which this is really hard. It's hard because, I cringe at the thought of starting a truck up, rolling it out of the firehouse and going 75-80% throttle right out of the gate, but you kind of got to retrain yourself, because that's the conditions that these things operate under. And if they go into D-rate, you're not going anywhere, or you're not going anywhere very fast. You're in people's way, in fact, especially in a heavy truck like this, that's pretty much has a fixed load on it all the time. It's probably really close to being maxed out when they've got water and foam, loaded, and equipment loaded up on it, and people. So you have to. I had to kind of rethink my whole diagnostic process here. But anyway, we got that squared away, and then we just did a test drive. I was sitting in the shop all night, and I did what I really hate doing. I fired it up, backed it out, hit the garage door opener, pulled it up to the gate, turned right, and just gave her hell, you know. And it didn't miss a beat, didn't derate. So, I mean, you know, that's just, I hate doing that, but that's the way we run them when they're an emergency vehicle. So we've got it straightened out. So we did a repair on another one, sister truck to this. It's 2016 as well. It actually has less miles on it, and it had a plugged up, the map sensor was plugged up, so it had a P0234, which can bite you in the ass, and it did. I went ahead and threw a map sensor in it, but what I didn't do is, and this is after talking to a person that made a call, made a run in it on Sunday morning. It went into derate. He, you know, pulled out of the firehouse, went around the corner, gave it about 75% that went into derate. But this guy is a Ford tech, so he neutraled it and shut it off, you know, keyed it off and fired it back up and took off and never had another problem with it the rest of the, you know, the rest of the time. So that has to be, you know, when you're diagnosing, you know, that's not going to happen to most people. If you let, and what I did with that truck is I did not do that, because when it came over, it was warmed up, and when I started poking and prodding at things, and by the time I went and test drove it, I had already run a self-test on it, so the engine was warmed up, and it performed flawlessly after that, you know, until it was cold. But anyway, we're going to, I'm suspecting turbo on that one too for the overboost. The reason I had so many codes stacked here is I did have the EGR issue, but I also had the mass airflow, and that was causing our fuel trim code, and our NOx performance, you know, will affect that too if it's not fueling right. It runs good now, so it passed the test this morning, and we're gonna go ahead and give it back. It can go back and do its job. So I absolutely cringe at the thought of firing a truck up and taking off right out of the gate, you know, WFO, but that's how they do it, and that's how you got to test them. I'm learning. I'm training my brain to disregard, you know, anything about warming an engine up or any of that shit. So anyway, we'll get that next one in here. I'll go into more detail on that, on the diagnosis and stuff, because I know that, you know, some guys are, you know, as these things age, you know, weird issues are showing up, and this is kind of a weird issue to me, because my experience with the 6.7 and the turbo is not a sticking unison ring. It's a broken shaft, or the thing is just plumb wore out. So you know, it's kind of new. So anyway, I'm sure, and this stuff is regional too. I'm sure they have way more problems with these unison rings back in the Rust Belt, or in high humidity areas, or, you know, back east than we do out here in the West, because you know, it's generally warmer out here and less humidity, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, stay tuned for that next truck. We'll get it back over here, and we'll test out the turbo and see if we can figure that one out. So thank you.